So what is the best podcast production platform? Let me just start here because I've pretty much used them all. I'm not going to name all of them because I want to focus in on this one particular platform that has just changed the game for me above and beyond all other podcast platforms in regards to recording. Now, you guys probably know I do an audio and video podcast, but I'm video first. The podcast that I produce, the Earl Hall Show, is all video. And then I strip out the audio, which I suggest would be the same thing that you would actually want to do yourself. The thing about Riverside that makes this so amazing, and yes, it's Riverside that I'm going to be talking about. Link is in the description if you want to go ahead and grab it as well and get you a trial of it too. But Riverside is one of those places that is actually really seemingly thought out what it is that a podcast host needs in order to not only record great video, but record great audio, to be able to have the potential to live stream, to have up to 4K video, to actually record each individual person on the podcast with their own video and their own audio, which from a production standpoint, as someone that really dives deep into video and audio production, it's an amazing, useful tool to actually be able to use. The audio, I mean, you guys know I started off as a voiceover artist over a decade ago, right? So audio is one of those things that I really key in on. And a lot of times when you're doing a podcast, audio is an issue. And I'm going to talk about how to solve and resolve all of those issues with your audio. And Riverside gives you the tools in order to do that. But people will forgive bad video many times. But if you have crackling and crumbly audio, no one actually wants to sit and listen to that. And so a lot of times you're not getting new podcast guests or podcast people on because they've heard what you've done before and they don't want to sound like that. So we're going to resolve a bunch of these issues here, but perfect audio every time is actually something that you can make sure happens when you use Riverside. So we'll talk about that. The thing that you want to do to make sure that you have good audio. You have on headphones and your guest has on headphones. You'll notice that on the Earl Hall Show, I always have on headphones because there could be something going on, whether it's in mix minus settings. Some of you may not know what that is. Also, depending on the audio interface that you use, or if you're just using regular USB, a lot of these things come into place. You can fix that very easily by making sure that you have headphones on and that your guest has headphones on, or like earbuds or AirPods, something like that. It's going to make the difference. And the reason why is because if a guest is listening to you through their speakers on their computer, you're going to get that feedback into that person's microphone. And then that's going to cause that echo thing going on within your own audio. And you cannot fix that. The way to eliminate that, please hear me when I say this, is to make sure that you have on headphones and your guest has on headphones or AirPods, earbuds, something like that, to prevent that audio from bouncing back into whatever microphone source it is that they're using. Which also brings me to the next thing. If you can use a microphone, and I don't know why anyone wouldn't be able to use a microphone. You can get USB microphones, $50, to make sure that you've got good audio. And this is more so I'm talking about for like your guests. There are some podcast hosts out here that do remote podcast, guest on one side, host on the other, remote podcasting, not in studio, where both are together, that will not do a podcast with you if you don't have headphones, because they are that serious about making sure that they have good audio. And then it also goes into the fact, the editing after the fact of that podcast is horrendous if you don't have good audio, because you can't get it back, right? But there is a editing process after the fact for most of us that do podcasting that takes a minute to do. So we're spending time putting these things together, and we want to make sure that they're the best possible thing that we can put out for that episode. So headphones are a requirement. And on the Earl Hall show moving forward, it will be a requirement. I literally had a guest on this week, recorded an episode. They didn't have headphones. I didn't ask them to put on headphones. I put that in my emails, like make sure you have headphones, but they didn't have them. And so there was this feeling like, well, I can't not do the episode. Well, yes, you can not do the episode. You definitely don't have to do that because it's going to affect you. When you get into doing higher and higher level things with your podcast, because you want to have the best foot forward, your guests also need to understand that there is a way that you do things. There's a brand that you have, and they have to be on that brand. So you bringing someone on your podcast, it's your brand. What is it that you're actually going to put out? So always use headphones. Now, you've got up to 4K video quality on your podcast using Riverside. And the thing that kind of freaks people out sometimes, I think, is that Riverside is recording as you're going. So you're seeing a low quality video. You may even be hearing a slightly degraded audio. But Riverside is uploading every second the high quality to its own servers so that the finished product that you download is up to 4K. So depending on the camera that you use, the microphone that you use, the audio setup, the video setup, you're going to have a much better presentation than a lot of other podcasters out there because they're using services that don't allow that just don't allow for that. Again, I've used several different platforms to podcast on. Riverside seems to be the easiest to record on and create a podcast. And the reason that I selected Riverside is because I've used so many others, and out of the gate, Riverside blew everybody away, hands down. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to actually show you the interface of Riverside and how all of these things come into play. But one of the great things that Riverside gives you as well is a complete transcript of your podcast, word for word. It's a transcript of everything that was said. Can you imagine how easy it is to create blog posts from having that information readily available to you? It's a no-brainer. It's one of the reasons why, again, I selected Riverside to do my podcast. You want to make sure that you are utilizing this in a manner which is just going to blow you away. Now, some of you may know I've got a course coming up. It's called Podcast Pro. We're going to be going over everything you need to create your podcast, to come up with topics, to get guests. And also one of the biggest thing is how to monetize actually day one of your podcast. Podcast Pro is coming out in just a couple of weeks, or it may already be out. Why don't you go ahead, click the link in the description to get on the waiting list, at least for Podcast Pro, because we're only selecting or only admitting about 20 to 30 people into each session because I want to be able to spend time with you. We're going to have one-on-one group sessions where we're going to go through all the training because I want to make sure that you get the biggest bang for your buck. And the outcome of all of this is better guests, better podcasts, and more money. So now the thing about Podcast Pro, let's just go ahead and not Podcast Pro. Well, Riverside. I got Podcast Pro on the mind here. We want to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you. This is the homepage for Riverside, right? And you can kind of see the interface there and how things look on screen. But I'm going to go ahead and log in. Link is in the description too. If you want to go ahead and grab a copy of Riverside for yourself so that you can actually go ahead and start utilizing this. But I want you to take a look. So one thing I'm going to do, let's start with just going into the studios. And you can make as many different studios as you want, but this is actually how it begins. So with the interface, you can see over here on the right side, that's my camera. It's showing my camera, which I'm using my Ecamm Live virtual cam. So you can put in your name, the host name, and using headphones. If you're doing a podcast, always select this, always select this, always select this. And then it lets you go ahead and join the studio. So now you can see like you've got a link here for your guests, a producer, and you can even have a link for your audience so that you can send out a link to like Facebook or wherever it is that you want, an email list, to let them know that they can actually come in and witness this thing live. I'll make another video about that at another point. But with this whole thing, this is your setup. You can see over here on the right side, you've got the volume meters. It's showing my volume. If I wanted to use echo cancellation, the reason that you use echo cancellation, and don't ever use it if you have headphones, you use echo cancellation so that your sound doesn't bounce back into the mic like from your speakers, but you're using headphones. Please use headphones. Echo cancellation works, but it's not perfect. Right? And then when a guest joins in, you can also control their microphone, their volume, the echo cancellation and all of that. But they should actually have their headphones on. So let's take a look at Riverside. Okay, we've got the output. So it's showing me all of my stuff here, right? And my name, general settings. And these are the general settings that you want to use, is basically this. Make sure that your studio is public. Right? Just make sure that it's public and enable your waiting room so that your guests can be there in case, you're a minute late or something, they can still be there. Or even if they come in early. We've got the design portion of this. If you want to upload a studio logo, you can do that. The recording, video and audio, you want to make sure that that's on. No noise reduction, because that's going to cause problems in post-production if you have on headphones, which you ought to have on headphones all the time. The audio sample rate, you can have it 48 kilohertz, 44 kilohertz. Video, just stay with the recommended. And the frame rate is 24 frames per second. That's it. You can even set up your live stream, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, even LinkedIn. And you have custom RTMP settings as well. And if you want a live stream, you just come in and you toggle it on. You have to put in your settings, like from YouTube, but mine are already set in there. Twitter, Facebook, put in your settings. I already have mine in there. Twitch and even LinkedIn. I have my settings for, well, I don't have my settings for LinkedIn yet. I got to put my settings for LinkedIn there. Then we have an advanced tab as well. Nothing really you need to pay much close attention to here. This is just the basic functionality of it. Now, if I go and, well, no, I can't go and switch my camera, because if I do, then you won't see the Riverside part over here. The interfaces are amazing to be able to record. When you're ready to go, you start the recording and you leave the recording in session for all as well. You can do screen shares. You can have a script at the top. Like if I had a script, I could click that, and then up here, I could paste my script, right? So that's another piece of the functionality that is there. I never use a script for podcasting, but you can use this even to record your own videos, just you recording your videos. So there's a lot of things that you can actually do here. Now, what makes Riverside fun even after the fact? Like, I have a whole episode here. So I've got this. I just recorded this episode, right? So it starts making these clips, and you can ask it for magic clips right here. And it'll generate clips that you can use for shorts, reels, and all those types of things across the internet. Now, also, what you have is you've got AI show notes. We've got a summary of the conversation along with, look at this, timestamps for what it was that I was talking about in the episode. It does this automatically with AI show notes. So this is something that's really, really interesting about Riverside. And then also, while it's creating the clips, it gives me these little images down here that I can use on social media too to promote the episode. And then also, we've got the complete transcript of the episode. I can view transcript here, the complete transcript. And it's got us listed out who's talking and everything else. So you can use this transcript even as a blog post as well. If you do that for your show, you can download transcripts, download subtitles, copy the transcript, copy chapters list. This is automatically done right inside of Riverside. Now, I'm looking here because it's still going through creating my clips. But with this, also what I mentioned earlier, I've got a video and audio recording of just this guy, Johnny, and I can download that high quality. I have a recording of just me and my audio. And then I have all participants where we're side by side and we're talking in high quality. Now, those of you that can actually forward think a bit, you can see how having these different type of clips or files separated can make editing amazing and utterly actually something that can become an enjoyable type of thing to do. But what I'll do here, since it's taking so long on Johnny, I'll go to someone that I know already have this on, and we'll take this here, and you can see it generated these clips for me. So what you can do, like even if you click on it, well, it'll show you there. But now I want to show you one that I haven't done, because this will be pretty cool to do. All right, so here's one that I have not done yet. Oh, I think I have to hit the edit button. Wait a minute. Exported. Okay, this one. Now we can edit this one. Okay, so it brings in that audio, it brings in that video, right? With the audio and the transcript. And you can even do script to video editing, meaning if I want to go in and just take this out, I can delete it. And it'll take that out of my audio as well. A lot of things you can do with this. But since I have a brand kit in here, like I can upload different backgrounds that they have already. Like I can use Earl Hall Studio. I can use that. I can use the Earl Hall show. And then that is my background for this. I always like to check my layout. I don't like to add spacing there around the video, but it goes there. But then also you can have captions on the screen, and you can, let me just see here, because if I go a little bit forward in the video, there's my captions. I just need to move my captions up, and I can do some editing on the captions about, that. I can have a highlight color, which I usually use this highlight color on the words. I know that already. And it makes captioning your videos extremely easy. And now all I have to do is download this, and I have a reel, I have a short that I can post on TikTok, I can post on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the whole 9 yards. This is what it's about. Riverside has made this extremely easy when it comes to being able to produce a podcast, and it has all these different tools inside of it so that you can create all these different assets that will enable you to drive more traffic to your podcast. And I think this is an important point, because all of this that we do as a podcast host, so many times we struggle with creating these assets, the video assets, the image assets, the audio assets. Riverside literally takes all of that stress away. And with a couple of clicks, you're able to produce exactly what it is that you want to produce and promote that podcast. I did a video or a short a couple days ago about what it is that you need to do to promote your podcast. There are a bunch of steps in there before the podcast airs and then after the podcast airs as well to get viewers to actually watch your freaking podcast, right? Because this is the whole goal for what it is that we're doing. With this channel on YouTube, or wherever it is that you're watching it, but in particular on YouTube at Earl Hall Studio, we're focusing in on the podcaster, on the content creator, and how we can actually create the content that we actually want to create and put it out in a manner that is actually at a very high level. Hello, incredible entrepreneurs out there. I'm Earl Hall, the host of The Earl Hall Show, and I have an exciting invitation just for you. Our show is on a mission to share the extraordinary stories of entrepreneurs like you, the visionaries who've overcome adversity, pain, and struggles to make a meaningful impact in the world. It's about the real journey behind your success. Think about it. Your story has the power to inspire, to motivate, and resonate. We're not here to sell. We're here to tell. Tell the tales of challenge and triumph, the hard-fought battles, and the sweetest victories. On The Earl Hall Show, your voice will reach a wider audience, an audience eager to hear your unique insights and experiences. Imagine sharing your story, your wisdom, with fellow entrepreneurs and dreamers looking for that spark of inspiration. This is your chance, a chance to connect, to inspire, and to be a part of something bigger. So if you're ready to share your entrepreneurial journey with the world, we're ready to hear it. Apply now to be a guest on The Earl Hall Show. Your story matters, and we can't wait to share it. Let's inspire together. Go to earlhallstudio.com, click on the link that says Be on the Podcast, fill in the form, and we will take it from there.